Hello. I'm a woman in my 30s working at an elementary school as a teacher. I almost got married last year but broke my engagement. No. To be precise, my mother-in-law broke it off after the breakup. It was hard for me for a while. Not long ago, something happened that washed away the injustice done to me at once. I'm sending this story about the reason for breaking my engagement, which was because of my parents' occupation. My parents sell hot dogs and snacks in two small spots in the open produce market. They each sell food items to this day. My parents met working in the market as if they were fated to meet. My mom was called the dessert girl and my dad was called the hot dog boy. They became a couple and after dating, they ended up getting married and happy. They still work at their small stores and make the food with loving care to serve their customers. When I was very young to know anything, I was so happy when mom and dad brought me food every day from their work that I still remember. But when I began school, I started to feel embarrassed about my parents' occupation. I was fearful that my friends would see my parents in the market, so I purposely never went anywhere near there. Every year when the school conducted the demographic survey, I would lie about the occupation of my parents, marking my mom to be a housewife and my father as an office worker. I fretted whether one of my school friends might discover that my parents worked as food vendors in the marketplace. I was critical of them. Why are you paying so much attention when watches sell cheap food? Just make it any old way. People won't know. My mom retorted. What do you mean they won't know? People who tasted it know people's palates are very accurate and any food that people eat must be made with care. It's just cheap food. Your mother's menu is priced low when you just do the math. But it's food the people who lang money can afford to buy, so it must pay more care. That's why your father purposely buys only the best ingredients. Your mom and dad sell cheap food, but we want to make them with extra care. I couldn't understand my mom and dad's efforts. They're putting in from early dawn to late at night with all the extra labor and choosing a selection of the ingredients to make food that cost less than a few dollars. No one would recognize their efforts. As I grew older, I started to change my opinion. After my parents maintained the same high standard and care in making food. It taught me that people should live honestly and sincerely like my parents. Eventually, I started to respect my parents' occupation. For my parents, their job was everything. Anyone who evaluates them by one's value standards and looks down on them makes me angry even just thinking about it now. Often people say, why won't God take those nasty people? After my broken engagement, whenever I became angry, I would pray that I don't care which one, but for God to please just punish any of them. So did God hear about the injustice done to me? 2 months ago, an unexpected opportunity came to me. I was so happy to hear the news below me. I have a sister who is 9 years younger. She was born in my parents' later years. I wasn't jealous at all because she was very cute and lovable, perhaps due to a big age difference. However, she always complains about her looks. Hey, sis, why are my eyes so small? When you have large eyes, it may be because mom and dad had me too late, so they didn't give me any good genes yet. You're so pretty. Even my younger sister's pouting was so lovable in my eyes. I always told her, no, Jenny, you're much prettier. I told her repeatedly, but she was so obsessed with looks and didn't believe me. As soon as her SAT exam was over, she went to a plastic surgery clinic all by herself to get a consultation. Hey, sis, is school over? Could you come over to future plastic surgery clinic for me? I received a call from my younger sister, which startled me. So I rushed over to the clinic to find her face with lines drawn all over with a felt tip pen. What's happened to your face? I didn't know what was going on, so I asked sis. I just received a consultation. It happens that they will give me a student discount. So is it possible for you to pay the fees for me? I asked a nurse and she said that they accept credit cards and will discount the interest rates as well. Was so dumbfounded. My sister was fully expecting me to pay for her plastic surgery and stood waiting. I took out a wet tissue from my back and wiped her face off. Surprised, she held my hand to stop me from it. Don't they have to do the surgery like this? Your face needs no surgery. Didn't I tell you? You're pretty enough. So erase it and let's go home. No, I want to get the surgery today. My sister would be 19 years old in a few months, but she acted like 9 years old and threw a tantrum. Right then, the doctor who was in the exam room came out from the noise my sister and I was making. Doctor, I could get the surgery today, right? As my sister asked the doctor, I looked at him frowning. I was angry that if he hadn't drawn on my sister's face and put the idea of plastic surgery into my sister's head, we wouldn't have gotten to this point. The male doctor glanced at my sister and me alternately. He seemed to have caught on to what was going on and said to my sister, "We can't do the surgery today. I need to get off work now. You said an evening surgery was possible." Before that, the doctor made up some excuses that the registration for the evening surgery was over. My sister became very upset, but the situation at hand got resolved for now. Hey! No matter how you want to become prettier, how dare you go straight to the plastic surgery clinic with no money? Aren't you scared something may go wrong? I scolded my sister all the way home, but she was mad at me and didn't say a word with her head turned toward the car window. My parents who came home from work were worried about my sister who was pouting without saying anything, thinking she was upset over not doing well in her SAT exams. That night, I thought about my sister since I didn't think she would listen to me even if I forbade her from going. And my worries became a reality. After my class, I was getting ready to go home when a text message from an unknown number was on my mobile phone. When I read the message, my sister had gone to that clinic again. It requested that I could pay the surgery bills in an installment. When I called the phone number belonged to that male doctor I have met. He and I exchanged phone calls on my sister's matters. I have a favor to ask you. What is it? If my sister goes there again, could you tell her nicely that she doesn't need any surgery and she just needs to take good care of herself, which would make her a lot prettier than now? I asked quite seriously, but what he says surprised me. I could tell her, but would your sister believe it? Pardon? Why would a plastic surgeon would tell her that she could become prettier without any surgery? Of course, she needs the surgery to become prettier. It's like telling Jenny that she doesn't have to study to get good grades. When I listened to him that made sense. I suddenly felt embarrassed that I asked for such ridiculous favor from a plastic surgeon. After the incident, we exchanged several more calls, and my close teachers and my work started to tease me about my encounters with a doctor and wish me luck, hinting at a romantic relationship. The big cost of school is a small place. Soon rumors spread quickly that I was dating a plastic surgeon. No matter how much I denied it, people around me did not believe me. Even the students I taught asked me, "Teacher, are you dating?" which made the rumors spread out of control. As the situation got worse, I just gave up hoping the rumors will fizzle away. When the rumors gradually faded, the doctor actually date him formally. At first, I was confused, but it turns out to be very gentle. After I became a teacher, I often went out on blind dates arranged by my friends, but to be honest, there was no comparison. Thus, like the rumors, he and I became a couple and we dated without any problems, where we mutually respected each other and spent time together for a year. I guess dating changes people, and my younger sister was quick to notice. Eventually my whole family found out about my dating, and my sister welcomes me the most because I was dating the doctor from the clinic she had visited. Then if you marry that doctor, does that mean I could get the plastic surgery for free? What do you mean by free? David is only a contracted doctor. Don't even dream about it. Boo, I thought he was the director. Was he only a contracted doctor? What about it? It's enough if he's good at what he does. I ended up defending my boyfriend from my mature sister, and my parents were happy that I was dating a doctor since it was about time I should get married. What's wrong with being a contracted doctor? It's more important than what kind of person he is. He must have studied very hard to become a... Didn't our daughter suffer studying to become a teacher? She is just as good as anybody. She's pretty, and these days teachers make the best rights. My parents complimented both my boyfriend and me for our hard work, and watching them made me feel proud. Just taking a look at all your jobs. I thought that a combination was good enough. It seemed my boyfriend thought the same way. I heard that my boyfriend's family thought my profession was not bad when he told them that I was an elementary school teacher. I didn't know then that saying it wasn't bad meant it wasn't good. It meant that my occupation was not bad. We dated for 2 years as any other couple because we were at the prime age for marriage. We were disgusted, and our parents were impatient and told me to invite my boyfriend home for a dinner together. My boyfriend said, okay. Soon our parents met him, and when he came to our house for the first time he kept looking around my mother, and I felt as if we were being graded and felt nervous. Our house was an old single-story residence. When we first moved, the house was already over 20 years old, and by the time of the meeting, the house was over 40 years old. Inside the house, it wasn't very different at a glance. You could tell it was very old and worn. I didn't notice it up to that time, but when I brought my boyfriend home every minor detail looked bothersome. However, my boyfriend did not say anything about her house. Instead, he all smiled, saying my mother's food was delicious. I have been worried that my boyfriend might be disappointed after looking at her house, but I felt relieved after seeing his reaction. After that day, my family presumed that my marrying him was already settled. Not long after, I also went to my boyfriend's house to meet his mom that day. I paid special attention to my dress and makeup, and even got a bouquet to meet my boyfriend's mother, who was a widow. My boyfriend brought up an unexpected subject in front of his house. Honey, I'm sorry, but I lied to my mom about your parents' occupation. My boyfriend told his mom that my parents were operating a franchise cafe. When I heard that, I was surprised and upset. I was in no position to be judgmental, but I also had heard that my boyfriend's family wasn't in that great a financial situation. I had never imagined that I would feel hurt by such materialistic conditions. I felt so offended, so I told him that I would just go home, but a voice interrupted me. Oh my, our Dr. Anderson, my son, are you already here? Welcome, I am David's mother. It's so nice to meet you. His mother was carrying a cake she bought and was walking toward us. I was bewildered. But his mother didn't realize anything and asked me to go inside, and I had no choice but enter his house. The condominium he lived in was a little larger than about 700 square feet and looked much more worn than our house. His mother met me for the first time. Told me that she sent my boyfriend to medical school with great difficulty because she got a divorce when her son was in high school, and she said it proudly. It wasn't something I would mind if my boyfriend didn't lie about my parents. I did not feel comfortable throughout. I felt the same way when I was young, when I didn't want my friends to find out about my parents' occupation, and what I worried about became a reality. Did you say your name was Janet? Where do you live? My son needs to start preparing for opening up his hospital. I have been busy visiting real estate offices to find which area is the best. She asked me which area I lived in. When I answered her, she said all there, that area is somewhat of a problem, even though there is talk of redevelopment because an open market is near. The quality of patients would not be up to par. Oh, well, but your parents are in business, so the money will not be a problem. Right. What's the name of the franchise? I felt as if there was a fishbone stuck to my throat when his mother asked, so I spoke frankly about my parents' business. She would find out the truth later anyhow, so I didn't want to worry about being found out. My parents sell hot snacks in open markets. Wait a minute, what did I just hear? An open market, hot snacks? His mother made a big fuss as if she was shocked by what I said. I felt embarrassed to see her reaction and my boyfriend looked flustered. Mom, I will explain to you later. I can't believe this. Are you talking about what I think you're talking about? It's that unhygienic, small stands selling cheap food like hot dogs and so forth? His mother narrowed her eyes like a venomous snake and snarled at me to confirm. When she blurted out offensive words such as unhygienic and cheap food, I refused to say anything more. She seemed frustrated. I made not respond and went to the refrigerator to get a cool glass of water and gulped it down at once while standing. Then she glared at me with a horrible look in her eyes, then all of a sudden she sprayed that cold water into my face. It was my first time to be treated so shamefully that I just looked at his mother, then she huffed like an angry bull and started to attack me in anger. I'm sorry, but this marriage is off. I have no intention to be in-laws with your parents who sell those cheap and unhygienic foods. When I heard that you were an elementary school teacher, I thought it wasn't bad, but how dare you from such a low-class family? Even a thing to get my son, it's not even funny. Why do you feel bad even though you're from such a low class? How dare you not answer me? Of course, how would you have embraced any better in such a track? Low class. I could only laugh at her when her house looked much more pitiful than ours. In the meantime, my stunned boyfriend quickly brought a towel to wipe my face. His mother got more furious when he did that. She slapped her grown-up son on his back and shouted, "How much did I struggle to raise you this much, and how dare you bring someone like her from such an unbelievable background?" I couldn't bear to stay in that house any longer. I snatched my hands away from my boyfriend and ran out. I caught a cab and stopped all the way home. I also could have laughed at the ridiculous remarks from such an unbelievably rude person. It broke my heart that my boyfriend had a mother like that. However, I could not ignore all the hurtful words that were spoken. That evening my boyfriend called me and texted me saying he was sorry. He said that he would persuade his mother as much as he could and begged me to wait for him. I told him I wanted to break up. Is your family that great? Why doesn't she think about our situation yet? My parents' occupation is of low class. Embarrassed you? Was that shameful to you? I don't want to be associated with you who lie. You're no different. I feel ashamed that I even loved a person like you. I told him that. My boyfriend just listened and did not say anything. I thought we were breaking up then. However, one day I came home from work and for some reason, my mom came home earlier than usual and was in bed. Then I saw that her arm was bandaged up. "Mom, what happened to your arm?" "It's nothing," she said as she tried to hide her arm. "What do you mean?" "It's nothing. Your mother's anemia came back and she staggered and burned her arm into a hot griddle. Do you know how shocked I was? Your burn is so serious that it might get scared." My dad yelled. "Honey, why do you tell Janet every detail?" "I'm okay." And so what if an old woman like me has some scars? No one would notice. It's okay to have some scars. They are considered medals. It's okay. I choked up watching my mom, who kept repeating, trying to lessen my worries. Then my mother became flustered. "Why are you crying over a small thing like this?" "I'm okay." She conferred with me that night. I researched on the internet for any medical procedures to erase burn scars. A few days later, I received an unexpected call from my ex-boyfriend's hospital and ran over there even though I didn't finish my work when I arrived at the hospital. My younger sister was showing my mom's burned arm to my ex-boyfriend. "Hey, why didn't you tell me first before bringing mom here? You startled me. Why do you shout so loudly?" Why didn't you show mom's burn when your boyfriend is a plastic surgeon? My sister was upset since she didn't know that we had broken up. My mom seemed embarrassed to show her burned, scarred arm to my ex-boyfriend. Just leave her. Now let's talk outside, Mom. Let's go. I try to leave the place as quickly as possible, taking my mom and my sister. It's okay. It's something I could do at least. So please don't be so fussy. My ex-boyfriend stopped me and examined my mom's scares thoroughly. I'm sorry, I must have made it awkward by coming here. My mom said it's not awkward at all. It's not hard to raise the burnt scares these days. These won't even require any surgery. It will take time to treat it. But it will get a lot better if you continue with the treatment. Wow, that's fortunate. Frankly, I didn't say it, but I was worried. I am already receiving help thanks to having a doctor as my son-in-law. I felt uncomfortable when my mom said that, and it was as if my suspicion was correct. I happened to see his mother, whom I wish never to see in his hospital. What's all this? And what your son-in-law is? Mother, why are you here without telling me? I came to see my son, so do I have to call in offense? I do not think we will ever see each other again. I can't believe how you are so tenacious like beggars. I no longer wanted to stand still in front of his mother, who did not hesitate to blurt out so rude remarks. Beggars, you had better watch what you're saying. It looks like you don't like what you're hearing, then you should not have come here. If you broke up, then it's over. What more are you trying to get out of my son? You have no pride. Janet, what's all this? Did you break up? My mom asked. Listen, hot dog lady. I don't want to have anything to do with you, so please get out. My mom was so shocked by his mom's spurious behavior that she was shaking. When I witnessed that, I became so furious that I shouted at an elder for the first time in my life. You sound as though this hospital is owned by your son. I also do not want to be assassinated by someone like you who is so rude and ignorant. Move over, since we will not stay even if you begged us. What looks at how a so-called teacher talks. I didn't answer and just left the hospital with my mom and my sister, but they seemed quite shocked that they looked blank. My father looked frustrated and not knowing what happens, but I couldn't tell him what happened at the hospital. I just felt it was all my fault. My mom couldn't work for 3 days straight from the shock. Then my mom got ready to go out after she received a phone call. Where are you going to work? You should rest more. I said the real estate office called because someone is coming to rent a building space at the market entrance. Has that space been rented out? I wanted to prepare money for your wedding, so I asked a real estate to rent it out as soon as possible. Fortunately, there was a space in your father's building and I asked nicely, so they let me move. I feel sorry to those people for causing inconvenience. It can't be helped. I plan to stop doing business in the market for you and your sister. I plan to open up a proper restaurant so that no one can look down on you guys. My mom blamed herself for my broken engagements. When I saw her like that as a daughter, I regretted so much for even thinking about marrying such a man because my mom was not in a stable mental condition. I insisted on accompanying her even though she says she was. I had a lot of time because my school was on vacation and I stubbornly demanded to go with her. When we got to the real estate office, I happened to meet my ex-boyfriend's mother there of all people. The agent told us that she was looking for a hospital space to rent for her son. She had said that the neighborhood that was nearby the open market had a lower class of people who were not good enough as patients. So why was she looking for a space where the real estate agent, who knew nothing, introduced my mom as the owner of the building to my ex-boyfriend's mother? Then her eyes widened so much as if they were ready to pop out and said, "Aren't you mistaken? How could that building be that woman? She's selling cheap food in the open market. So how could she be the owner of the large building? You're talking so strangely." She indeed runs a DeFi business, but all the best buildings around here are also owned by her and her husbands. It can't be, you must be mistaken, aren't you? I have been around here for so many years. If you don't like it, then look somewhere else. However, this location is the best and these owners always run very cheaply. So a lot of people lie not wanting to rent here, the agent retorted. Oh, it's so frustrating. Are you going to sign the lead or not? Just a minute. My ex-boyfriend's mother's face looked all twisted and came toward my mom and me. As she approached, I snickered at her, feeling avenged. Isn't it too bad that such a low-class family happened to be the owner of this building? We will rent to any others, but you never. Well, let's be frank. I'm sorry, I didn't know that your parents owned so many buildings, right? Had I known it earlier, would I have done that? Why did you make it all so difficult by not saying it before? I am sorry. Please forget the past and let's start from the beginning. When I saw that two-faced woman who started to smile at me, the fury I was holding back burst out and I shouted. What are you saying? It doesn't change anything whether there are buildings or no buildings. Are you sorry now that you found out that we seem to have money when you thought we were poor? You have nothing yourselves yet. Don't use your son as bait to climb up and live your life properly. My mom pulled me by my sleeves to stop as my voice got louder. She said, Janet, that's enough, and told me to leave. His mom became frantic and said, I'm sorry about before. As a single mother, life was very hard trying to raise a son by myself. I made a mistake. Please think about my son and please let's proceed with the wedding. I got a big loan, putting up even my house on collateral for this building by even getting a loan in my son's name. This building is a lot cheaper despite its great location, and I put my everything into here, so please help me and my son. My mom was so bewildered and her hands began trembling again. My father learned of the news, came over too, and asked me what was going on. I told my dad the truth and he took a broomstick from the emergency stairs and started to sweep the floor where my ex-boyfriend's mom was standing. Why is there so much garbage in this building? This is why there's bad luck. My ex-boyfriend's mother was pushed back due to my dad sweeping and she ran away looking embarrassed at the situation, still angrily shouting that she has never been treated like that in her life. My mom and I felt like a rock has lifted out from the middle of our chest after the buildings around our neighborhood began appreciating like crazy. Not only my mom's building but also my dad's buildings appreciated so much that for the first time they were able to earn the largest amount of money in their lives. I told them jokingly that they should stop working and enjoy themselves and stay at home. But what do you mean, money must be earned with your own two hands? We will keep this money to use when our two daughters get married. Your father and I are perfectly happy to work in the markets. Don't we, honey? You're right, working in the market is fun because the people there are real, and if we are not there, what about all those people looking for us to eat their hot dogs and snacks? We sell food, but we also sell fun. Okay, it's okay if you two are happy doing it. Don't stop your business just because of Jenny and me. I think my parents are a couple made in heaven. I hope that someday I will be able to meet my soulmate who would appreciate people like our parents. I had overcome the obstacle in life that I wished would have happened, like a broken engagement, but I think I have learned a lot from my parents once again. It is said that there should be no discrimination in what type of job one has. When my father said that they sell good memories, I think he was right. Thank you for listening to my story. I sincerely wish that whatever you do, you will appreciate it and be happy always. Please cheer for me and write your comments of wisdom in the comment section. Pressing like and subscription is a big help to me. Have a wonderful day.